are so glad that you have tuned in. This is going to be a fun conversation. So I'm here with Jordan Helbig, who has been a part of our church, and her family's been a part of the church for longer than I've even been here. So they're a really significant part, and we are so happy that they're a part of our church family. But we wanted to take a few minutes and talk about something that Jordan had the opportunity to do over the last couple months. And so the first thing I wanted to just give her the opportunity to talk about is, what is the World Race, and why did she want to do this trip?
Okay, the World Race is just a non-denominational organization. It's not really a church, it's more just an organization, and they just send out missionaries to all over the world. They have connections in so many countries. Their main trip is a year long, but I did this semester's trip, so I was gone for 3 months. Well, supposed to be gone for 3 months, and went to Thailand and Cambodia. They just send missionaries all about 20 to 30 years old and send them to host families and spend about a month in each place, just helping them and serving them however you can in their ministry. So I decided to do this last summer. I knew I wanted to do a mission trip, and so I stumbled upon the World Race basically just on a Google search, and it matched my timeline and my mission statement, and I was just so excited, and so I applied, went through a whole interview process, and ended up here.
Okay, so a 3-month trip isn't your normal, I'm going to be gone for 7 to 10 days. So with that, I figure there's a lot more that goes into the preparation. So what all did you have to do to prepare to go for this trip?
I had to fundraise a lot, almost $7,000. So made t-shirts like the ones Clint's wearing, and sent out a bunch of support letters. But I also had to pack everything that I needed for 3 months into a backpack. And get medications and supplies and all sorts of good stuff. So, it was the process.
Yeah. Well, as you set out to go on this trip, what did you hope to get out of being a part of the World Race?
I was probably most excited just to spend 3 months away with no distractions and no agenda like I would have here. I didn't even really know what I was going to be doing or who I was going to be with. So, I was just excited to see what the Lord was going to do with all this free reign over my life for 3 months with nothing to get in the way between me and the Lord. And so I was just excited to see what it was going to look like to really be in His presence daily and lean on Him daily. And I was also just excited to meet my squad. There were 14 girls, all about the same age. So I was really excited to get to meet them and share life with them.
Awesome. Okay, and so tell us about the first 48 hours of your trip, because if anybody followed along on your blog, they knew that the first part of your trip was a little bit of an adventure and an obstacle, and so tell us a little bit about that.
For sure. So first we went to Georgia for a week-long or 4-day training camp. And that was great. I got to know all the girls. I felt like I was kind of in a fog, emotionally. I wasn't super excited, but I wasn't scared. I was just well, we're doing this and we're here, so let's see what happens. And so, so our flight was really early in the morning, and so they decided to send us there at night, and we would just stay the night at the airport. So I was sleeping, and then I woke up and realized that my phone was stolen. So I had to go to my leaders and tell them that I didn't have my phone, and they were like, well, there's nothing we can do at this point. And so then I got on a plane to Asia by myself with no phone. And I wasn't really upset about losing my phone. It was more just scared that I now didn't have communication at home, and I was going with a bunch of strangers to the other side of the world. And but just a few days after we got to our village, I was able to get a little smartphone looking thing, so it worked fine. But the beginning was really rough. My first few days in Cambodia, I honestly didn't want to be there, which broke my heart because I was so excited to be there. But I was just scared and uncomfortable, and didn't know anyone, and so I was just, didn't really want to be there, but it's really cool to be able to see how the Lord just transformed my heart, because none of my environment or like circumstances changed, but my heart towards it totally changed, and so that was just really cool to see and be able to transform that.
Yeah, I imagine that not only was it hard for you when you realized you didn't have your phone anymore and had no way of communicating, but then for your parents and for everybody that cared about you, trying to figure out like, well, what is she gonna do? And then on top of that, knowing that you take really good pictures, like that's one of your hobbies, like you love to take pictures, and so now there was like that little bit of a discouragement there, and so I'm glad you stuck with it, even though you still ended up coming home early. And so what was the hardest part about coming home early?
I think the hardest part was just not getting any closure with my team and with our ministry. We were in Thailand for only about a week and a half, and we never actually made it to our ministry or our host family, so we didn't even get to meet them, which was partly good because then we didn't really know what we were leaving. But so that was really hard, just knowing that we didn't get to finish our work that we were set out to do. But it was also hard not getting closure. We came back to Georgia about 2 days after we found out, so it was really quick. And then we were supposed to have a couple of days of debrief in Georgia, but then they canceled that. So as soon as we landed, everyone just kind of dispersed, and so I didn't even really get to say bye to half the girls that I just spent 2 months living with, And so that was just really hard, not getting to say goodbye to them and get to have any closure. So
yeah. Overall, while you were gone, not just the circumstances of your phone and the circumstances of the trip itself. I mean, there were other things going on in your life. What was the hardest part overall for you while you were gone on this trip?
I think the hardest part was, one, being away from home. This was my first, I was still supposed to be in high school, so this is my first time really leaving home. And then also there was a lot of events at home that I just didn't get to be a part of, and it made it really hard. But I think the hardest struggle, day to day, was just being uncomfortable, physically and emotionally. You were doing bucket showers and squatty potties and, living with the rats and everything, all that good stuff. And so that's uncomfortable, but then it also emotionally just not having, your family or your friends, and just being with a bunch of strangers. It was a lot of forced community. I love those girls, and they really are like sisters to me now, but it was still forced community. You could never be alone. You were always in really close quarters with 14 girls. And so that was definitely a challenge, but a good one. So yeah.
It's funny how you say the word squatty potties, and what you said, squatty potties, and
bucket showers.
Huh?
Bucket showers. Yeah.
With rats, and you say it with a smile on your face,
Yeah.
It's so funny. So when I went to Indonesia when I was in college, we experienced a lot of the same things, the squatty potties and bucket showers, and at first it can be really overwhelming. There's that culture shock, and then on top of that, now you have all of these things you're really unfamiliar with, and so but it's fun to see you on the other side, being able to talk about it and smile. And
yeah, for sure.
Okay, so tell us one or maybe a couple funny things that happened while you were there.
There's a lot of funny things. I was very blessed with a fun squad. If you're gonna be stuck with 14 people, might as well laugh a lot, which we did. And so I think my favorite story, we had once a week, when we weren't working, we had an adventure day, and so we'd get to go out with our host, and he would show us something cool in his town or country. And so on one of these days, we went to this little lake, and there was a zip line, and it was really sketchy looking, but it was $2, and so I decided to do it. And this one other girl wanted to do it with me, but of course she sent me up first. And it was over the water, and so I went, and I kind of barely touched the water, but I was fine. And the girl after me decided to go, and she was quite a bit bigger than me. And so when she went, we all knew that it was going to happen because I kind of touched the water, and so we knew that she was going under. And so we were all just gathering around with our video cameras, making bets on how far under she was going to go. And then all the locals come around to watch her go. And she goes and she gets completely stuck in the water, like up to her waist. And so all these locals are like dying laughing and have to throw her these ropes and like pull her out. And it was just really good. She was a great sport about it, but it was really funny.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so overall, what did you learn about yourself and about God through this trip?
I think the biggest thing that I learned, they talked a lot about the Holy Spirit. That was really a really big part in their organization. And so I learned a lot about the Holy Spirit and about practicing listening prayer and hearing the Lord's voice, and which I heard the whole time. I just wasn't recognizing it the way that I learned to do. And so that just changes everything. It makes it so much more real and so much more valid and just personal. So that was something I got to practice, and I had really good mentors with me on the trip that were helping me grow in this area. And so definitely the Holy Spirit and hearing the Lord's voice, because it just changes it all.
Yeah, I guess that's good. And so if you had maybe one challenge or encouragement for any students that are watching, what would you have to say to them?
I would say to get out of your comfort zone, and that you don't have to live. For students my age, is a very like set plan for our lives, like it's pretty like set out, and most people just follow that. And so I would just challenge everyone to step out of that for a little bit, like still have a plan on what you're going to do, but step out of it and make your own and just follow the Lord, because even if it's hard, it'll be really great. So.
Good. Well, Jordan, thank you so much for sharing with us and sharing about your trip and about what God has done. We look forward to what God is going to do in your life, because we know that He's going to do some big things, and excited about how you're going to follow after Him and continue to lead others to Christ. So that's, even though you didn't get to fulfill your mission this trip, you didn't get to do the task that you thought you were going to be able to do. God has done something in your life, and He started something that's going to keep going. And it's really good to know that you're going to be a missionary wherever you go. And we're excited about that.
For sure. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.